Hola. Let me tell you why it's a good day. Well, the skies are blue, clouds are low. We have some early snow. I heard Alberta got hit pretty good in some of the passes. My water's clean, but I'm not sure about my native cousins. Oh jeez, man. First thing I get up this morning, I'm gonna have to give this social media stuff a rest. It's just, well, if I do, then I'm gonna keep my head in the sand. So as you all know, Trudeau's got his boy Johnstone passing a law through. They're trying to pass a law through right now, so people can't talk about the election or politicians or anything on social media before, during, or after an election. Otherwise, they're coming for you. And I mentioned that in home hardware, or local home hardware this morning. I was picking up some chain oil because I have to get some more wood. I didn't expect the snow so early because all the global alarmists told me that the end of the world was here and we were going to burn. But yeah, no, it's a little early this year. So anyways, I'm watching this thing this morning. Sorry. Hey Trudeau, catch this. Please forgive me. It's Canadians' fault because we're all racist motherfuckers, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. So I'm watching this thing this morning where, and I put it up on I shared it on my YouTube site. These guys are driving by, and they happen to have cameras, but they're just driving down the street. It's nighttime. And they see this staff, like it was like orderlies, nurses, and security guys. And they have this woman in a wheelchair, and there's a bag, what they call a spit bag, over her head. They bring her to the edge of the parking lot, and then they just dump her. And they start heading back to the hospital. This isn't a hospital parking lot. The woman's having seizures. So thank God these guys. Thank God, you know, these guys. Now these are just guys. I don't know if they are black or white or green or Chinese or, you know, who cares? You know, we are all of mankind, for crying out loud. So anyways, oh, it's not funny, man. It just broke my heart. And so these guys called that staff. Somebody ended up calling the cops. And the security guards are like, and this other security guard dude shows up, and they're intimidating these guys. And these guys got them on film. It's like, you know, don't insult me, man. You know, you can't disrespect me. It's like, hey, dude, you just dropped a woman off having seizures on the edge of your parking lot, dumped her out of the wheelchair. I've watched the vid, man. So this is what we're down to now for society. The end of the world's here. Lives don't matter. People don't matter. You know, I am doing that survey on, you know, sociopath or psychopath. You know, what do you think Trudeau is? Go back to the film and leave your vote. And yeah, I'm sorry for going off a little bit. The only reason I was bringing up my disabled son, my autistic son, on that video was just that I've been watching that young lady from Sweden or whatever, and they say she's autistic or has Asperger's or something, and so I'm watching her with interest because I've lived with autism for the last 30 years, and just to see if she's an actor, you know, because autism is people from autism will imitate other folks or music or something to express themselves because they're unable to express themselves on their own, and that's why I brought my autistic son up in that other video. So these, first thing this morning I see this, I don't want to watch it, but I can't take my eyes off it. I'd love to stick my head in the sand and pretend that the establishment working through the UN that's after the free world, that wishes to communize the free world. Well, they are, guys, they are. I'd love to stick my head in the sand. This is why I'm voting. And after that, if I'm not happy with the results and being able to hold public servants to account, I'm definitely in West exit from this de facto government we have. Absolutely, I am totally for it. There is absolutely there is no honest purpose to bring down a nation with fascist police state style communism worldwide, unless you're after control of the people and of the world, basically. And I'm seeing it happen in Australia. I'm seeing it happen in New Zealand. I'm seeing it happen in the States. I'm seeing it happen here within the jurisdiction of Canada. I'm seeing it happen in England. We're seeing it happen through the Napoleonic civil law countries, the Western countries, Sweden and Norway and Germany, and they're not common law lands like we are, but so your life has no value to these elitists, but it does have value because that's why they wish to brainwash your children and into thinking that CO2 is a pollutant, and it's not. And they should all be fined for using that, fined in their personal capacity for using that, for just outright lying. They don't believe a damn word they're saying. It's all about control. It's time to get a hold of the free world and the Western world. These people don't mess with China and they don't mess with Russia because they'll get their asses kicked. But we're so busy looking for a safe space. What do you call those folks? Snowflakes? And hiding our heads in the sand and can't handle the stress of reality of what's really happening here. That these guys are just barreling down on us, man. This is a big snowball effect. So this election is more, to me, I can see it, this is more of a global takeover of the free world and of the Western world. And if they can get their hooks into us, and it looks like the way these guys act, like the way Trudeau acts, it looks like he figures he's already got it. And he doesn't have to obey the rule of law. He doesn't have to talk to the free press. He doesn't have to even act like a proper man would or should in public. He acts like a spoiled child, and that's why when I address them, the man-child Justin. That's why I address him as a man-child. That's all I see. I bet you that, I don't think that man would have any qualms whatsoever in causing harm to me or anybody else that doesn't suit his fancy at the time. Have you guys ever watched, have you ever seen any movies where you had somebody in power or somebody famous, and in the movie, like, in front of the camera or in public, they act a certain way, but behind the scenes, they're spoiled little crybabies that don't care who they harm to get their own way. That's who Trudeau reminds me of. I don't know what he's like behind the scenes, and personally, even if I knew him or went to school with him or got educated with the guy, I probably wouldn't hang out with such a creature. I believe we're at a tipping point this election. I think here and after, unless we get somebody, the only guy I can see worth voting for, like, I'm sure Andrew Scheer is a nice enough guy, all right, but he's so worried about offending people. He's so worried about what people think that we can't really get into the real issues with the man. And in the meantime, when we have these public servants, these prime servants, they're operating, real people are being destroyed. I mean, yeah, we outlawed the death sentence physically on this land in the 50s after we hung an innocent disabled young man for a crime he didn't commit. Check it out, do your research. But now they either enslave you. You either agree to become in servitude, or they will enslave you through social death, social torture. So they'll enslave you, they'll come and take everything you have. Their propaganda centers, CBC, CTV, Global, these guys will do a little blurb on you, a hit piece on you publicly, claiming why you're such a bad man or a bad woman, which is you can do that to anybody. You can besmirch anybody's good name in public. It's easy, and nobody has a recourse because we don't even have courts anymore. Like, we don't even have our courts anymore, where mom and pop can go to court and hold people accountable for the harm, the loss, and the injury that they cause. And the courts are just tossing people out and besmirching your good name in public when you try to stand as a man. I mean, the only way they'll put up with you is if somebody from their legal society represents you as a legal person at their court within our courthouse. It's kind of like our schools, We have a public court building that we pay for, that our forebears built on our behalf, so that if there's an issue man to man that cannot for some reason be resolved in private, or on what I call the private side of life, then we're supposed to be able to hold a public venue. And so as soon as you get to that court building, they twist it around, they twist you around, they turn everything, and now you're at their mercy, and the man or woman acting in the black robe is now your daddy, and you consented to it. If you don't consent to the man or woman in the black robe being your daddy, then all they do is lambaste your good name, throw you out of the court building, and now you can't hold court. That's what's going on, guys. A court of record trial by jury, where the magistrate is independent of the tribunal, is the free world, is our right. And being tried by a jury of our peers, not a jury of statutory creatures that are still controlled by daddy in the black robe, but that do the controlling and decide whether a man or a woman is guilty or not guilty by way of just having a bad law on the books. So we have the circle of elites, and they pretty much control this nation. The only good that's allowed is what they allow to be perceived as good. If they allow somebody to have a win, you have no right except for the rights that they afford you. Okay, so your daddy gets to afford you the rights. They do recognize the supremacy of God on paper, but they don't recognize the supremacy of God and where man stands as the creator over our creation, which would be the public service and the government of Canada and the government of the province. So we're that far down the pike, so your life doesn't mean shit. And yeah, you might feel safe right now. You're probably 2 paychecks away from being thrown on the street. Like most Canadians. Unless, of course, you work for the propaganda centers and you're paid off with public money through the public service that acts as a totalitarian regime. All I wish is for folks to get out and vote this time. If you don't vote and don't know who to vote for, I'm voting for the Max. Okay? He's the only one I see that seems to be genuine. I mean, if we vote in Max and, the People's Party of Canada, first off, the People's Party is made up of a lot of folks just like you and I. Just people who care about their nation, who care about their neighbor, and care about the future for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. If we lose the free world, there is no future. And I'm not talking about their phony bullshit on climate change and global warming and global cooling. I mean, George Carlin said it best, and they're a bunch of control freaks, think they are God, and think that they are your God, and that they are going to control the weather. I don't think so. This is just all about controlling folks, and controlling the food, controlling the energy, who prospers, who doesn't prosper. Look what the UN's doing with Africa, for example. They're paying these dictators money to not develop so that people cannot make a go of it over there. And it's wrong. It's wrong. I noticed UNICEF's back. Yay, so we can, our kids can go out and beg for money for that corrupt charity that's caused so much harm in the past to people. Wrong. Crooked. They're crooked. No worse of them are crooked. I hope my cousins in England, I hope they get their Brexit through. I hope folks in Australia start getting their act together, as far as putting their public servants in check. I hope people in New Zealand get their act together and start getting their public servants in check. I hope that everyone starts to get their public servants in check. Now remember, the government, is not scared of a population that has been disarmed. The whole gun law thing is all about disarming the public. Then tyranny can reign. Yeehaw. Poland had somebody was mentioning when there used to be jokes about, dumb Polacks and stuff. And the reason for the dumb Polak jokes is Poland, very sophisticated society, very educated people. They, when they were taken over by first the Nazis, what they did was they came in and they killed off all the smart folks. Just like, just like they do in any of those dictatorships. What was that guy, Pol Pot? Same thing they did. Like, they do this all the time. This is what they do. This is what control freaks do. So they killed anybody, all the teachers, the educated people, all the smart people can think, but they left the labor force. So when you kill off all the smart people of a nation, then you end up with all the dumb ones, with the low IQs. And so that's how the Polish ended up with that nickname for a lot of years, the dumb Polacks. They've really brought themselves back. Obviously, it's in their genes. The smart gene in my lineage may not have dropped with me, but it's still in there and can be passed down. Even to 13 generations. So I saw this. I saw how people do not value their fellow man anymore. And I started thinking, well, yeah, okay, this is how the control freaks are taking over our nations and allowing everybody just to be the me movement, right? Greed and me. And who would ever thought Canadians would end up this way? I never would imagine that we would end up this far down the pike. So here's what the election's about. Disarming the public, taking the natural resources away from the public as your right, okay? As any man or woman from this land, you have a right to those natural resources. Not the corporations and not the government of Canada. The people do. So also taking your children away from you if you don't allow the brainwashing of the New World Order upon your children. Taking property away from you. Taking your jobs away from you. Farming out your jobs to slave labor on the other side of the planet. Allowing the few big international corporations to take your natural resources and sell them out, and without being manufactured here, sell them off to other parts of the world, let them enjoy the manufacturing jobs, and then send them back for sale. Your right to have some kind of tangible money that the banks have to accept, that businesses have to accept. They've gotten rid of that too. They're gonna take the cash away, put you on a cashless society, and then they'll control you through your debit cards. They'll only work within your region, okay, and that's a New World Order word. But and then you'd have to have like special permission to go outside of your region to be able to function. Kind of like the Indians on the reserves, how they used to have federal permission to leave the reserve. So they're doing everything they did to our native cousins to everybody now. That was a good experiment. They'll force education and propaganda on everyone, and if you don't accept it, I'm sure they're going to come and knock us off individually. I know this sounds like a horror story, but this is where we're at. No free speech, no free world. A disarmed public, open the door for government tyranny. Simple as that, man. You don't agree with the status quo? You can be socially given the death sentence. And they're pushing for it. There's a PPC lady who immigrated to Canada from, I believe it's India, and a professional woman so she's given up her job to run in the area of Toronto somewhere, Ontario somewhere. So she's just tweeting about her experience, and nothing negative whatsoever. Nothing negative whatsoever. Actually, what a blessing it was for her to come here, and how, You know, and this is the type of politician we need. Somebody with a heart for the people, a heart for this nation. And that's all she poured out, was her heart for this nation. She wishes to give back. So they canceled her Twitter account. That's too good. We can't listen to that. So we're all being controlled, we're all being manipulated, and we're about to all become slaves with no rights. So if you like that, just vote for your buddy Trudeau and or the mainstream. If you want to come back to a place of normality in this land, I'm going to give Max a chance. I think he's the only one that can do this, the only one able to do this, with a party of folks with their hearts for this nation and for their neighbors. Anyways, I'm going to go cut a tree down.